When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do continuously update on my community tab. I want to explain further on something before we move into the story itself, so there's no confusion moving forward. Only reason Lancelot's able to do such feats while he's in the trial in the void is because he's in his spirit. He's in his spirit form. He'll be able to do a lot more feats that he can't do in his physical body currently. Regardless if he's half a void demon, he's still 6 years old, so there's some limitations what his current body can do before the changes when he awakens his demonic blood. Anyways, let's get back to this. This is part 3 of What If Deku Caught the Eye of a Vampire. Let's continue where we last left off in our story. With the door puzzle finally completed, and the door is slowly moving upwards, releasing a stale, cold breeze that came out of the main entrance of the temple. Type of stale air you would find in ancient tombs and temples in a long forgotten past. Lancelot stepped forward and entered the temple through the front door as the door behind him immediately closed. Lancelot turned around to find the door he just came in through has shut tight behind him, trapping him inside the temple. I see, so that's how it is. Once you accept the trials, you can't go back the way you came. Apparently, there's only one way to go now. I just need to move forward. The moment Lancelot made it halfway into the pitch black room, the torches all along the walls all lit up. And purple fire. Lancelot looked around the large chamber. There's 3 opposite pathways out of this chamber. The walls of this chamber had engravings of an ancient language that Lancelot prior couldn't understand. Now that he has the information from the index crystal, he's able to read the language quite easily. Not only he knows the language, he also knows the meanings behind all the symbols that he's seeing scattered all around the temple, and specifically in this large chamber he's in. According to the symbols above the doorway of the 3 different passages, way further inside the temple, each door will lead him to a different trial. Lancelot easily concluded there's 3 trials that he has to take on this floor, but they never said he had to take them one after another. He got a closer look at the first door. There's some sort of magical circle in the middle of the door, stopping anyone from entering. The other door had the same magical lock on it. The only one that didn't have any lock on it was the last door to the far right. He had to walk past a couple of pillars to get to that side of the chamber. Like the other two doors, this door was completely unlocked. According to the new information, I have access to this black temple. Changes judging by the personality and the mindset of the Voidwalker taking the trials. He knows taking the 3 trials on the ground level of the temple will probably wasn't the beginning of it. He has a sinking feeling there's harder trials going further into the temple. He knows from the index there's several different levels of this temple that has their own trials. It was clearly obvious to Lancelot. Just accepting and completing these 3 trials will only lead to more trials. And if he completes these trials and unlocks some of his power that's aligned with his species, it's only a portion of his potential. In order to fully unlock his powers, he needs to complete the entire temple trials. This is only the first floor trial. There's many more afterwards. So conquering each level is going to take some time for Lancelot to complete. For now, he just needs to beat this level, or whatever part of level he can. He doesn't know how this works exactly. Nowhere in the index said that they had to complete all the trials one after another without leaving. Regardless, Lancelot just needs to beat this level. He'll be fine. He'll be fine with whatever power he achieves from this action. When he gets back to his physical body, he walked through the only way he can and opened the door and walked into the long hallway that led him to a separate chamber. Much like the last chamber, the moment he stepped foot inside, the torches along the wall lit up with a purple fire. Once he got a better view of the chamber, he saw this chamber has several different levels, and they have their own set of stairs to the side to get to the upper levels. He noticed a hanging humongous bowl torch hanging in the middle of the room on the top level, hanging by several black chains, keeping the humongous torch bowl in place, hovering in the middle of the room or the chamber. Lancelot heard a loud noise like something was shutting, so he wasn't too surprised when he looked around to see the door is completely gone, as a wall slid down and blocked the pathway leading out of the chamber. Black sand slowly begins to drop from the small hidden holes in the chamber up on the ceiling. That it is dropping black sand into the chamber. the highest point of the chamber, Lancelot kept a cool composure. He knows by the rate of the sand is falling into the chamber, he won't have a whole lot of time before this entire chamber gets engulfed in this black sand, most likely killing him by suffocating him to death. He doesn't really understand how that would work. He's only in his spirit form, but yet again, this temple might be a factor in the equation. He began to run and ascend to the first set of stairs as he begins to walk in a fast pace. He hasn't noticed anything that would cause him harm so far. He noticed this temple has no sign of life so far. He hasn't came across any, at least. Lancelot was quite correct in his course of action. If he would have ran, he would have been ambushed by these very small, round shadow monsters with no eyes, but they do have a nice set of razor-sharp teeth. They're pitch black, and their entire frame is round, with legs and arms, with claws on them. The size of these monsters are about the size of a baseball when it comes to the size of their body. The very small shadow monster immediately noticed Lancelot and instantly began to attack, sensing a brand new source of food. The small little black creatures are peer predators. They normally hunt in great numbers to overwhelm their prey, and they mostly are known from the Black Desert inside the Void. Lancelot did not question. He knew exactly what these things are and how to defeat them. It was in the index, so naturally, he got that information as well. The 6-year-old Lancelot rolled to the side and hopped backwards, dodging a leaping shadow monster. Lancelot was surprised by his reflex and speed. He's always known he was quite fast and nimble for his age, but he's displaying better reflexes than he's ever had before. He didn't question it. He just reacted to the situation and kept the sword he created with the void energy earlier safely in his hands. When he met the Void Mother, so he can easily defend himself. The Void Sword is quite light and strong. It's a perfect size for a 6-year-old to wield. He cut through the first Void monster as he turned to face another one. As the corpse of the monster falls, eventually begin to slowly decay away. Lancelot couldn't celebrate on his small victory. He had to dodge another one of these small, man-eating monsters. Lancelot noticed the small monsters had enough intelligence to start to strategize a different plan of attack. As they begin to run into the shadows and pop out of another shadow behind Lancelot, with their long mouths or jaws extended wide open, ready to chop down, only for Lancelot to duck the void monsters that was lunging from him from behind. and the monsters lunging him from a front collided with each other. One of the monsters jumped on the pile of his kin and leap in the middle of the air, ready to chomp down on Lancelot. Lancelot used his chance to slice it in half, killing it as his body begins to decay into nothingness. Lancelot used hit and run tactics for the rest of them. When he finally killed the small group of void monsters, he continued to try to find the other set of stairs to the upper level. There's a lot of levels he still has to get access to. Lancelot suspected once he lights that huge hanging bowl torch that's hanging from the ceiling, would most likely stop the sand. This is a trial, so it's never going to be quite simple. Lancelot knows he's going to have to use his brain and whatever abilities he has to take down any threat moving forward. But unfortunately for Lancelot, fortunate for Lancelot, he was able to deal with the small, round man-eating void monsters by using hit-and-run tactics every time he encountered them. He finally got to the next set of stairs, leading him to the next level of the chamber. Now, all of the upper floors are visible because there's no wall separating each level from each other. There's only one wall on the entire level, only on one side, so you could easily fall off if you're not careful. That's why Lancelot is keeping an eye out for anything that sticks out on the higher levels. Occasionally, he finally got to the next level. Lancelot was only on the second level. There's the ground level. Then when you access the stairs, that's the first level. Then the second level he's currently on. The level below Lancelot is already filling up with sand, so Lancelot picked up his pace. And he did so. The only problem he occasionally was being attacked by the same kind of small round void monster, continuously slowing him down in his progress, giving the sand enough time to catch up if he doesn't find himself on the next level anytime soon. Luckily for Lancelot, this floor he's currently on had no sign of the hostile monsters on it, so he easily found the next set of stairs, going even higher to the upper floors in the chamber. Once he got to the new level, it seemed to be safe enough to start running. The moment Lancelot started to run, several full-grown, same type of void monsters, aka the shuttle monsters, aka I believe I named them what did I name them? I think I called them desert stalkers, but I'm not totally sure on that. As full-grown desert stalkers came surfing out of the nearby shadows on the same floor that Lancelot is on, as they appeared in front of him and behind him, boxing Lancelot in. The grown-up version of the desert stalkers are full grown, adult size. Lancelot created another void weapon. It formed into a... Sorry, just guys, I couldn't find it. There we go. It formed into a very sharp black spear. Without realizing it, he created a new weapon and threw it at the monster in front of him. The void weapon pierced and killed the full-grown desert stalker. When Lancelot spun around, he wasn't fast enough. As the desert stalker behind him slammed right into him, making Lancelot go skidding across the stone floor of the level he's on. The desert stalker spun around and tackled him again, almost causing Lancelot to fall off of the level, as he had to grab onto the edge of the floor from stopping him from falling. He looked down to see all the several sizes of the desert stalker on the ground level, rising with the sand, waiting to snack on the new meat source, as they all have their mouths open sharply, displaying their very razor-sharp teeth down below. Lancelot is in a dangerous situation. He's already lost his weapon when he almost fell off the edge of the current floor he's on. He had to use both hands to hold on, and currently there's something very vicious hovering above him, as the desert stalker is casting a shadow over Lancelot, slowly opening its jaw, displaying all his razor-sharp teeth, ready to chomp down upon Lancelot, most likely trying to bite off his head. When the desert stalker was about to chomp down upon Lancelot, without realizing it, Lancelot used the monster's shadow that's currently being casted over him to sink into the shadow and come out the other side of the desert stalker on the same floor that he was on prior. Lancelot didn't have time to register what just happened. He tried to recreate a void spear that he made earlier on pure instinct. It was very difficult to make it like he did before, like the sword. Creating a sword is a lot more easier for him to recreate. But recreating a spear, that takes a lot more focus and void energy to even make. When the desert stalker sensed its food source is no longer there, it spun around only for a black void spear to pierce right into his body, falling down to the ground level. The moment the desert stalker that was pierced in his body fell all the way down to the ground level where the sand is, the rest of the desert stalker immediately pounced on the new source of meat and begin to eat the corpse as they begin to consume their own kind. The sight of these monsters cannibalizing themselves was quite disgusting, but he had no choice but to move forward. He wasted too much time already. The sand is clearly catching up, so he needs to move faster. Because of the sand rising, the monster down below is rising with the sand, and there's a lot of them. He wants to avoid that as much as possible. He immediately found the next set of stairs that descended upwards, or no, descended would be going down, or rising upwards, basically, whatever. He finally caught a break. The specific floor immediately led to another set of stairs, bypassing several levels. Lancelot just bought him some time. It'll be some time before the sand finally catches up with Lancelot again. It was fairly easy for Lancelot to notice the upper floors are far more populated with these desert stalkers. I'll pause on the story. Lancelot knew of the desert stalkers' names because of the index. In this time frame in the story, I just kind of came up with that name on top of my head, so that's why I wasn't sure if I named them that or not, because it was just a random name that came in my head. Anyways, let's get back to the story. That's not really important. Lancelot was starting to get the hang of it, creating weapons with what limited void energy he has. It doesn't take a whole lot of energy to make those swords, but it takes a little more energy to make a void spear, like I said prior. But he still has a good portion of his void energy left. Lancelot void circuits are not fully unlocked. Only a small portion of them are usable at this current time. He used the same tactics that he did earlier. Hit and run. Luckily, he didn't spot any full-grown of the desert stalkers. Lancelot started to cut the desert stalkers down with his sword without stopping. He knows this is only possible to move so swiftly and deadly because he's in his spirit form. He's unsure if he'll retain such abilities when he gets back to his physical body. That train of thought fell dead when he noticed the sand is catching up with him quite quickly. As the rate of sand started to increase, Lancelot doubled his efforts as he finally ran up the set of stairs, dodging and weaving around desert stalkers, using his small stature and speed to invade any conflict. The sand caught up to the point where all the desert stalkers that were rising with the sand leap onto the floor that Lancelot is on and charge forward in great numbers. About time Lancelot noticed it was already too late. One of the smaller desert stalkers bit down upon his shoulder. Lancelot yanked the monster off of him and threw him, only for the little bastard to easily hop back onto his feet and begin to charge once again with the rest of them. Lancelot was clearly injured. He could actually feel pain. He was surprised. There was no blood coming out of his wound. There was only a fragrantly, I'm not sure how to pronounce that right, but only faint sparks of black light was coming from his wound instead of blood. He finally realized this is not some average type of wound he has. While he's in his spirit form, it's his soul, and his body is extremely vulnerable. No matter how dark his soul is because of what he is, he needs to tread carefully. If he dies, his soul will be obliterated. damn it. That index said nothing of this. I should have come to this conclusion a while ago. Lancelot jumped up and grabbed a torch from the wall and bolted towards the last set of stairs. There's a small army of hungry desert stalkers right behind him, ready to feast on his soul. The desert stalkers not only do they eat meat, but they eat souls as well from anything that crossed their paths. Doesn't matter what species. Everything is food in their eyes, including their own kind. He ran in top speed when he saw the humongous torch, or humongous bull torch, that's being stuck in place by chains. It's keeping it from not falling as it hovers in the middle of the room. He tossed a small torch as the humongous bull torch began to catch on fire as a burst of purple fire can be seen. Lancelot spun around to chop a desert stalker in mid-air with his void sword. As the sand begins to sink onto this floor, pulling all the desert stalkers. As the sand begins to turn into a whirlpool of sand, the only void stalkers left on this floor, or that are left, are currently on this floor with Lancelot. There's still too many for Lancelot to fight, so he jumped off the edge of the top floor of the chamber and jumped right into the bull torch and barely grabbed the edge of the bull. He knew this decision was most likely a stupid move on his part, but he had a judgment call to make. He'll rather be burned a little bit than get eaten by those vicious little monsters. But to his surprise, the fire did not hurt him. It had the opposite effect on his body. It began to heal the wound he had on his soul. But Lancelot couldn't say the same thing for the desert stalkers. When they jumped into the same pit of fire, they immediately were burnt to death, instantly decayed into nothingness. As the bull torch began to lower down to the ground level, is when Lancelot noticed something black in the fire. With one wave of his hand, the fire dissipated as he picked up a black key. He picked it up with no hesitation. Lancelot looked around the chamber on the ground level to find a door. There was no door there, but he was looking around for a door. Suddenly, one of the walls started to ooze some sort of black ooze, as it started to take shape of a door. It only had a key shape in its lock. The door itself is a pitch black door with a knob and only a keyhole. Lancelot walked forward towards the door and to insert the black key. Then he turned the key as the gears of the mechanism of the door began to make slight noises until the door was completely unlocked. Lancelot pushed the door. As the door opened up, once he walked through the door begins to decay. only leaving a wall, so he had no way back. He just has to move forward. The pitch black hallway started to light up as torches began to catch fire, illuminating the path before him. When he finally gets to the end of the hallway, it led him to a large chamber. So far, this is the largest chamber he's been in so far. The whole walls of the chamber has humongous mirrors attached to all the walls, scattered around the entire chamber. With a humongous mirror in the middle of the room, Lancelot walked alongside, gently dragging his fingers across the surfaces of the mirrors that's on the side of the walls of the chamber to gather up his thoughts. Judging by the room, each mirror that's a line across the room that's on the wall is mounted by some sort of statue of creature of unknown origins. But I have a bad feeling about the larger mirror in the middle of the room. The writing along the side of the large mirror doesn't make sense. Who seeks power must defeat themselves to achieve it. What does that even mean? Defeat yourself? That could be many things. When Lancelot got closer to the large mirror, the mirror in the middle of the chamber, inscriptions on the side of the edge of it, begins to glow a bright purple. To his shock, something stepped out of the mirror like it was liquid. His eyes widened, seeing a completely copy of himself. There was only one major difference. His eyes are purple, a slight tint of red in his irises. Void Lancelot created a variant of a void sword and pointed it at the original Lancelot. How fascinating. So that's what the description meant on the side of the mirrors. Indeed it is. Not only do you have my appearance, you clearly have intelligence as well. Of course I do, you fool. I'm your manifestation of your void powers. You see this mirror, you see before us, produces a void walker's true self. You have to defeat me in order to fully unlock the powers you have access to through your void circuits. But I won't just lay down and die. I will most likely be trying to kill you. Firm believer of only the strongest survive and the weak are exterminated. We'll see about that, fake. Lancelot charged forward and swing his sword. To his surprise, Void Lancelot performed the exact same move. Both of their swords collided with each other, making sparks. When the two swords started to collide with each other more, they would do the exact same move at the same time, creating more sparks as they slowly begin to disengage with each other. By performing it upward, hopping backwards, then immediately performing an upward slash. Yet again, their blades begin to collide with each other, making more sparks as they go. Both Lancelot kick each other in the stomach, forcing them to slide backwards. Lancelot couldn't relax. His double created several magical circles above him as black lightning arrows came flying down. Lancelot immediately used one of the beginner techniques that he got from the index and used his void energy that he has access to create a void dome to protect himself from the lightning arrows. While Lancelot was in his void barrier, he created several magical circles behind Void Lancelot, only for Void Lancelot to slam his palm onto the ground, creating his own void barrier around himself to block the incoming black lightning spears from Lancelot when both of their magical attacks or techniques. I'm not sure his void energy would be considered magic, but it sure works quite similar. Anyways, let's continue. When their assault came to a halt, both Lancelot burst through their void barrier and charged at each other, preparing to swing their swords at each other. The moment they got close enough, their blades collided in rapid succession. Each swung was blocked. The same thing happened on both sides of the battle. Either Lancelot could make a solid hit. Their attempts would either be blocked or parried away with great skill, or skill for his level, basically. He's still a novice, but with his increased speed and strength, that's the only reason he's doing so good. When they paired each other attacks again, both Lancelot did a spin kick on each other, then blast each other with a void pulse, releasing a burst of void energy in the palm of their hands, forcing each other to slide backwards as they skid across the ground, as they both immediately create a void spear and threw it at the same time. The two spears collided with each other and changed their trajectory as the black spears flew off, almost smashing into one of the mirrors that's on the wall. Is that it? Is that all you have? You're quite an arrogant one. If I'm arrogant, that means you're arrogant as well. You're not like those idiots at the orphanage. Yes, I do have your memories as well. I'm not afraid to admit this. Battle is getting us nowhere. For either of us. We can't even make a solid hit on each other. It's quite frustrating, really. Void Lancelot only gave his opponent a smirk. He could easily give him a hint, but that's not going to do. That would defeat the whole purpose of this trial. Void Lancelot charged forward with increased speed that Lancelot did not see prior. Lancelot could barely keep up with his copy. He was just moving too fast. He barely managed to block the first additional sword swing, but he wasn't fast enough to block or notice the kick he received that sent him flying across the room, smashing into one of the mirrors that's on the other side, that's hanging on the wall, or built into the wall, basically, with the statue holding it. Lancelot did not notice that the mirror he smashed into was completely unharmed. There wasn't even a hint of a crack on the human-sized mirror. He was too busy dodging incoming attacks to notice the mirror wasn't even broken when he collided with it. Several black fireballs were flying towards Lancelot in rapid succession. It surprised Lancelot at first. To his knowledge, he doesn't know how to use the fire element from all those spells and skills he got from the index that was pretty much downloaded into his brain. And all the different spells and techniques, that attack wasn't one of them. Lancelot started to throw bolts of black electricity in the direction of the fireballs to decrease the number of times he has to dodge. That's where we're going to stop it for now. Hope you guys have a good night and day, judged by time zones, and I'll catch you in the next video.